part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
Run, William, run! He's got blockers in front. 5, touchdown! Joshua Cribbs turns disaster into a score! Kick blocked! They blocked the kick!
Okay. Listen, I know that the Cleveland Browns season is over to a lot of Browns fans out there, but before we get started, I'm going to tell you something that's going to really brighten up your day. Because Ohio DraftKings Sportsbook is coming to the Buckeye State. It won't be long, exactly about a couple days from now, this Sunday actually. You can bet on all your favorite sports from the comfort of your own home. To celebrate, all new customers will receive $200 in free bets when you sign up today using code P3Browns. Hooray! Plus, 5 lucky customers will win $100,000 free bet. That's right. DraftKings Sportsbook is going to give you $200 in free bets just for signing up today. No deposit required. Soon, you'll be able to bet on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbooks app, DraftKings Sportsbook. Plus, you'll be entered to win a $100,000 free bet when you sign up. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now and sign up with code P3Browns to get $200 in free bets to use once mobile sports betting hits Ohio. Plus, 5 customers will win $100,000 free bet only at DraftKings Sportsbooks with the code P3Browns. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-589-9966, 21 and older, physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing requirements. 1 per customer. $200 issued at $825 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends first day. DraftKings is allowed to operate in Ohio. See terms at DKNG.com/OH.
We're only a couple days away, which is nuts.
I know. I'm trying to figure out if I'm going to bet on the Browns, man. I'm thinking about it.
Are you? You should. I would think I'm going to too. I think I'm going to.
I think I'm going to bet on who's going to score. I just got a feeling that since DPJ has dropped 2 back-to-back touchdowns in 2 back-to-back games, he's due for one this week. So if you're listening right now, DPJ, he's going to score. Remember, you heard it here first. If you do win, I do charge a 1% fee of giving you this information. So there's that.
Are you still doing Cameo?
Yeah, I'm on Cameo. Holla at your boy. What you need? Who birthday coming up? Who you need me to holler
I
at?
don't know. I don't know. I might have to get into your services and see.
You're hilarious. Anyway, let's talk about Browns and how sad. Well, I won't say that I'm sad. You know, it was. When I think about this season, we knew that this was going to happen. We knew the type of season we were going to have the moment they announced that Deshaun Watson's suspension was going to be 11 games. We knew the type of season. Now, it was just a bunch of us that had optimism that really hoped that maybe somehow we could find a way to string this thing together and keep things afloat. But hey, man, the NFL is about who can win the close games. Every game is pretty much going to be close. You need to be on the winning side of those, especially when you get later into the season. And obviously had a bunch of fails at that in the earlier this season, and that has put us to where we are now. Last place in the AFC North. Isn't it great?
Merry Christmas. Merry freaking Christmas. We got gifted our season-ending loss. So, you know, it's really par for the course this year, quite frankly. 17-10 loss to the Saints. I mean, honestly, Tyvis, I barely watched it. It made me cold just looking at it. What?
Girl, I couldn't look away. I just could not look away. I was like, man, this is so fascinating. How could you not want to watch it? You want to see the type of players that's out there. Because at some point, see, this is if you never played outside in the cold, this is how it works. First quarter of a game, when it's freezing like this, all you want to do is you get out there and you want to feel it. Let me see how I feel. Let me see if I can handle this, right? After the first, it's like, all right, I know how it's going to go now. I've been out on the field. It's cold. I felt the wind. That should be out of my mind. Now let's execute the game plan. And the had a pretty good game plan, I would say. But it's just every week, and it's about the same thing. One team makes adjustments, the other does not. And when we don't, because basically this game turned into the big wildcat. And I get that Taysom Hill is a fact that he can beat you with his leg, but he also can throw as well. So you can't just sit in the house. Everybody, well, just sit in the house. We know they're in wildcat. The problem, he still has the ability to throw, so you have to respect that. However, I would have liked the coverage to shift a little bit. See, when I was with the Browns for my little cup of tea in 2017, when Greg Williams was the DC, he was the one who sat us all down. He was talking about how the wildcat doesn't work anymore. And the wildcat doesn't work anymore because in his particular defense, he always likes to run cover 2 against wildcat. So when you run cover 2, obviously you got the 2 high safeties and you got the corners who's playing the flats very hard. With him, he likes his corners to be aggressive. So as you play in cover 2 and you look inside, once you see the quarterback taking off, you basically shoot it. So it turns into corners blitzing. And when that happens, it allows you to have contained. So now Taysom Hill can't get outside of the corner because the corner is holding the leverage, which is now he has to take it inside where all the other guys are. And that's the type of adjustment that should have been made. But I get it because the Browns' base defense isn't cover 2, it's cover 3 and cover 1. But I just think that's a slight adjustment. If you make that call and you explain it on the sideline, I think guys should be able to handle it.
Well, and also the fact that, the game changed when the Saints started running the ball late in the second quarter and Browns kept wanting to throw, and just the worst possible weather. I was reading, I can't remember what article I was reading. Oh, I could tell you what I was reading. Tony Grossi was writing a little bit about this week. It's not just a work plug. It's real because I was reading Tony's stuff. I always read Tony's stuff, but
wait a minute, this article just come out recently, like maybe in the past couple hours?
This came out yesterday.
Okay, because I got a text message from the Cleveland show and they was talking about some article, but I haven't checked it out yet. So go ahead.
Oh, well, basically it talks about how the Browns, hold on, let me find it. Yeah, ESPN analytics expert Seth Walder named the Browns the most analytically advanced organization in the NFL for the second year in a row. In the survey, Browns claim the top spots by relatively wide margins to following questions: which NFL team is the most analytically advanced? Which team produces the highest level of analytics work? Which team most incorporates analytics into its decision-making? Browns received overall 9 votes. So yeah, that's not obviously any major news on our front. However, he also talks about how a person who formerly worked for the Browns football ops recently let land on a man know that the influence of DePodesta and how a coach may elect to buy in as a means of keeping his job. Stefanski: Mr. Haslam believes in analytics so much, the source said in an electronic message. I think head coaches try to please him throwing the ball. We sat in countless meetings about how important it was to throw the ball. A 4-yard run was of no value on the analytic chart, and it was about 13-yard passes and more. Only runs of 7 yards were of value. Depot came up with some magical score. So anyway, my point with all that is when there's been a lot of talk about Stefanski and the Browns making adjustments and game plan and game management and Stefanski keeping his job and the whole thing, and it hearing that, I guess, kind of just solidified and also opened up the fact that Stefanski is really obviously doing everything that he feels he needs to do to keep his job, which in the grand scheme of things, are we always all trying to do the best thing to keep our job? But that's clearly not producing winning results on the field, nor is it producing any type of real control over the organization or the locker room in general. And this whole year, I feel like, is a freaking waste. It's a waste.
It was a waste when they announced the 11-game suspension. I mean,
was it though?
Yes, yes, it was.
But even to it, well, Tyvis, let me
Absolutely.
put it this way. So this leads me it leads me into this then. Looking at these next two games coming up. All right, we got the Commanders. What a terrible name.
Playoff team.
Yeah, they're gonna. It's a must win for them this weekend.
Yep.
And then Pittsburgh.
In the hunt.
How? Okay. My question really is like, with these two, how much do you think that this is going to mean to the organization to go out there, and the players, I should say, to go out there and play the hardest they can with these two games?
It's a measuring stick. I think the game is a measure. That's how I look at it. It's just a measuring stick. You see a team that's a wild card team, and you see a team that's obviously your rival, and obviously they're still in the hunt. And Myles Garrett even said, and a lot of guys echoed it. We're going to spoil people's season. I never wanted to be one of those people that would say spoil seasons, but that's where we are. I think that these guys, like I said, I said it a couple of weeks ago. It just proves who loves football. You still have a job to go out there. These fans are still behind you. The city complains about a lot, but we've been so desperate and waiting for the moment to, win the championship that's why people act the way that they act. And they see that this team has the talent to get there. I think this game basically to me, it's about seeing what else you have out there. Still getting Deshaun Watson some more reps. Because that last drive, he actually looked pretty good. I mean, it was his pocket presence was pretty good. He threw some game-winning passes that just didn't get caught. I thought he looked really good. And terrible weather, which that's hard to do. So it lets me know that he's been progressing in the right direction. These guys just got to make plays. And like I say, the guys that we've been dependent on all season came up short. And that's just kind of been what it's like. You think about the defensive side of the ball. You think about some of the players that we were dependent on to make big steps and, be big time players haven't produced this. So this whole season has been because you depended on young guys to step up, and you depended on, the veteran guys to basically pick up right where they left off last year, to end of last year, and neither one of those two things happened. So now you got two final games to figure it out, because I'm sure it's going to be a lot of moving pieces. I mean, it has to be a lot of moving pieces due to the cap space. And it's all about, to me, going out there and putting out great tape, because you might not be here, but somebody else will. And it's about trying to get confidence for next season. Out there and go up against a playoff team and beat them, unless hey, we on the right path. It's just, it was a lot of things that happened this season.
Yeah, and that brings me to, I was reading another article. I was doing a lot of reading this week. Zach Jackson from The Athletic, and he made a comment, which I think just really sums a lot of this up, is built-in excuses make it easy to forgive. And just that sentence, built-in excuses make it easy to forgive. How can you demand better from a team that for 2 seasons hasn't shown it's capable of better? The Browns are a full-on built-in excuse team. We have had a built-in excuse set of excuses. I said excuses twice for the past however many years, right? I mean, I think that's
2 years. 2 years, 2 seasons. This season and last season.
Yeah, but also the entire, however many years, 20, within the lessons that the team came back. It's been excuses, built-in excuses every year. Yes, it has. What are you talking about? Every year. How many times do you go to the playoffs, Tyvis?
What?
Twice. The last 20 years.
Twice.
We have excuses every year of why we don't get there.
What was the, so the year we went 10-6 with Romeo Crennel, we didn't have no excuse. We lost the game that we shouldn't have lost. It's not an excuse.
I can't. No, you're not doing this. What are you talking about? This team is this team.
They went 0-16.
Have built-in excuses. That's who they are. That's their identity. We're an excuse.
No, we're not.
Yes,
no,
we are. Not. How are we not?
No.
Who is there's excuses made for everything, and you make excuses for them every week.
Ollie,
part of that.
listen. Oh,
You are.
I'm not. No.
Yeah, you are.
There's
Yes, you are.
excuses and then there's reality. Like you can make some excuses, but you can't ignore reality. You can't ignore the fact that their franchise quarterback was suspended
Agreed.
for 11 games. You can't ignore the fact that their starting middle linebacker and their leader, the heart and soul of their defense, tore his ACL and was out for the season. You can't ignore the fact that a bunch of linebackers, our Mike linebackers, about every last one of them are out for the year. You can't ignore that either. So you can't ignore the fact that Denzel Ward is in and out the lineup. G. New was in and out of the lineup. You can't ignore that Wyatt Teller is dealing with a calf injury. You can't ignore all of these things. Like, this is not an excuse, it's reality. That's when they went 0-16 and 1-15, they just wasn't good. Like that's no excuse. They just wasn't good. Last year, you can't ignore the fact
there's
that
no
your starting
excuses during those seasons. It was just they sucked. But we knew they sucked.
My point exactly. That's my point exactly.
But you can't.
You saying this,
there's no excuses then. Yeah,
excuse
there's no excuses for the But there's no excuses then for the if there's no
I haven't given you an excuse yet.
All of those. Okay, if you're saying to you, fine. Those aren't excuses to you. All right. What about all the disciplinary bullshit? What about all the penalties? Well, what do you mean? Miles, first of all, last week getting suspend was it 3 plays? Team decision.
Did they go 3 and out?
Tyvis, don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. You know exactly what I'm talking about. You know exactly what I'm talking about it. And you know what? You know what reality is, Tyvis? Perception. Perception is reality. Okay? Perception is reality. And the perception of this team is that they are a team of built-in excuses. That they always have, there's something else, and it's always about next year. There's literally a blog called Waiting for Next Year, because that's all we do. There's an excuse every year for every position, for every play. Well, he got hurt. Well, that's the game. You know that more than anybody. Injuries happen. Next man up. That's the whole point of all this. I never thought the season was going to be a complete and total waste. I knew it was going to be an incredibly uphill battle, but Jacoby Brissett did enough to get us to a certain point, and the rest of the other parts of the team failed. And they failed because of miscommunication. They failed because of leadership. They failed because of the fact that the organization is pseudo kind of fucked right now because they can't get their shit together. And all they do is care about being number one in analytics, when football, you know also more than anyone, is not analytics. It's football. It's knowing the game. It's feeling the game when you're out there. It's all of those things combined. Everything plays a part. I'm not going to completely throw analytics out the window, but I know if I want to win an award, I don't want to win it for analytics and football. That's it. So yes, this team has built-in excuses, and you cannot tell me that they do not. And also, for the past 2 years, well, and for the past 2 years, are you gonna agree with me then? Because you said, well, at least for the past 2 years before we just went on this little rant. Will you say for the last 2 years?
Well, go ahead. What about the last 2 years?
Do you think Stefanski's reign? Okay. Excuses, or just what you say are reasons that they are not where they are? Well, go ahead, answer that question.
What you call excuses, you asked me, was there excuses or reasons? I'd say reasons. Reason being, because when they did not have all of that going on, this was a playoff team. After this happened, they were not a playoff team anymore. What's the biggest difference between the time they made the playoffs and the time that they didn't? The time that they made the playoffs wasn't no key injuries, no season-ending injuries. But the time that they don't, it's a lot of injuries, going in. How can you not say that? That's not like.
But every team, you're not naming anything that is an anomaly to the Browns versus the rest of the teams in the league.
I don't know. If let's say Patty Mahomes go out for 11, gets suspended for 11 games, are they making the playoffs? I doubt it. If Joe Burrow goes out for 11 games, are they making the playoffs? Absolutely not. If Josh Allen went out for 11 games, are the Bills? No, absolutely not.
But we weren't coming off of a winning season with Deshaun Watson, and all of a sudden he's out for 11 games. Like that wasn't the case with us at all. Our situation, yes.
Okay, let me get back to you. Let me give you a quarterback that who went to a different team this year. Let me see. Give me a second.
They make too much money. This league makes too much money for there to just be reasons, quote unquote, every year why they don't win. And why I bring that up too for the last 2 years. So while you're doing whatever you're doing over there, I'm going to bring this up. This is also in Tony Grossi's article, which I find interesting. Browns finished second in the AFC North in 2020, right? We know that 11-5 record, went to the playoffs, beat Pittsburgh, AFC wildcard game, lost to Kansas City. The following teams finished last in their divisions. Ready? Jets, Bengals, Jaguars, Broncos, Eagles, Lions, Falcons, 49ers. Okay. They all finished last in 2020. 2 years later, 4 of those teams currently sit atop their divisions. Bengals, Jaguars, Eagles, and the 49ers. The Jets and Lions are having their best seasons in years, still alive in the postseason chase, while the Browns have sunk to 4th and the last place in the North. Only the Broncos and the Falcons have worse records than the Browns. So my point with all of this for the last couple years of Stefanski's reign and all of this is that when teams are supposed to evolve and get better and grow from where we were from Stefanski's first season, we're not even close to that anymore. And not much has really changed on the defensive side. We've had the quarterback situation, but Jacoby Brissett played decent enough this year to hold us head. If the defense would have just gotten their shit together, and special teams had better than one game all season.
Well, I've been said that. I said this season is solely on the defense, but you can't ignore the fact that they also dealt with injuries as well.
Yeah, but again, you're not telling me anything different than any other team has dealt with.
I am telling you something different. San Francisco had a major injury. Did Fred Warner and Nick Bosa get into a car accident that got him that handicapped him? Did Fred Warner tear his ACL? I'm asking.
49ers are winning. It doesn't matter. 49ers aren't in last place. They're in the last place in their division.
No, but I'm asking you, did Micah Parsons get into a car accident?
Okay, and
this is the things that the Browns are dealing with. This is things that changes. You know what this season taught the Browns? It tells you the importance of having depth at positions. That's what this is. See, for so long, we've been doing these drafts. We've been having these drafts, and these picks have just been on the roster. They just been we don't really need them right now. We'll let those guys develop. The starters are good. And now that they're getting forced into action, it's showing that they're not as good as they thought. They're not ready to go in the game yet. So that's what this proves to me. You need to have some veterans. Stop going young and thinking that I'm going to just do it with all these young guys and they're not ready to produce. This is why having vets matter in this league. So that's the big lesson here. We need to have a veteran presence on defense. That's what I got out of the season. What about you?
That's fine. I can agree with you there, but the drafting then, and that goes back to, Andrew Berry, DePodesta, Stefanski, the trifecta, and they're not going to be going anywhere. But in the way that they have drafted, it's clearly not been the way.
Whoa, before you say that, this past draft has been their best draft. Without a first round, Barton Emerson, great. He's going to be a great player. Alex Wright is definitely going to be
Emerson.
Alex Wright will be a good player for sure. He has shown you some flashes. Perrion started off terrible, but for the last few weeks, he's been actually really good.
I think he's going to get other shit that's going to get in his way.
That he needs to clean up his off the field issues. But when he's locked in, as a matter of fact, like I said, the last couple of weeks when he's been locked in, he's looked like a player. He's made plays. Isaiah Thomas, 7th round pick. That's a hit. That was a great pick. Who else was in this draft class?
They're going to be great picks if they grow, right? Like, I think that's sure we can see flashes, but we saw flashes with some other players and it's not held. I mean, I think
who? Like who? Who you see?
Well, Mr. Anthony Schwartz, you saw some flashes here and there, and you're
wait a minute. Never did I say that. Secondly, we are undefeated when Anthony Schwartz runs the ball. So with a guy like that, you can't get rid of a guy with a stat like that. He gonna tell his kids. When every time I touched the peel, we won. So if I would have just got the ball more,
Oh my gosh. Speaking of holding the ball, so I was in Florida all last week for work, and I was working. We handle the sales and marketing for some of the ESPN College Bowl games. So I was down in Boca Raton for the Boca Bowl, and then I was up in Tampa for the Gasparilla Bowl. And in the Gasparilla Bowl, I was on the field. Well, I was on the field for both of them, but I was on the field for Gasparilla, Tyvis, and there was an overthrown pass to wide receiver on I don't remember who it was. This was for Mizzou. Missed it.
You one-handed, didn't you?
Came rolling right in front of me. And I had just got done texting my family, mostly my dad. I was like, Dad, you're trying to see me on TV. Like, I was telling him where I was. So I happened to tell him like right before that pass was overthrown. And then this pass comes at me and I'm like, oh my God. And of course it rolls right in front of me. And I'm like, shit, I get nervous. I get really nervous. So I picked up the ball and I kind of like looked at the security guard next to me. And he's like, well, what the fuck? Like, look at me, like, throw it. Like, what the fuck are you doing? I didn't know what to do. And I'm like, oh my God, am I on TV? And then I took the ball and I like threw it over the security guard. I said what the fuck I was doing. It was a disaster. I was so embarrassed. I don't know if it was on TV or not. I hope it wasn't. I didn't hear anything. So granted, it was a decent throw to the security guard, but nonetheless, it was not my shining moment.
Wait a minute. What are you nervous about?
I don't know. It just all came down.
Are you camera shy?
There was a lot in that moment, I guess. I don't know. And I just got done telling my parents, I'm like, turn the TV on. Maybe you'll see me,
See, Holly, you blew an opportunity. See, what you get nervous about is the things that I embrace. I'd have took a 3-step drop and fired that thing at that security guard. They would have been like, get that man some equipment.
Well, you know what? I know. Well, you know what I also got nervous about, because I guess I wasn't thinking at the time too. I'm like, who should I be giving this ball to right now? Like, there was no one that was like coming over to me right away to try and get it. So I was like holding this and I was like, I don't know what to do.
You should have took off running with it.
Yeah.
Scoop and score, Holly. Scoop and score.
Well, I'd be running more than the Browns were this year.
Wow. Listen, this could kick somebody when they down, Holly. Like, come on, man.
Oh, come on. They kick themselves just more than I ever need to.
This is the thing. The way I see it, they'll be fine. I just want to see a good show in the last 2 weeks. I would love to see some Jerome Ford. I would love to see, what the future holds. Now that we probably gonna move on for Kareem, maybe even Dearness, I would like to see Jerome, because he's the guy who I can see being a good piece. This is a guy that all preseason we've heard about how well he catches out of the backfield. Oh, he doesn't drop a ball. And this is a guy that will work perfectly when Nick Chubb needs a blow. Now, instead of having Kareem out there, you'll have a guy who actually looks really good in the return side. I'd love to see him catch a screen pass and see what he does, actually. I think this is the time now to get some of these guys acclimated in there while you still trying to get Deshaun Watson unrusty and getting some chemistry with guys.
Yeah. I mean, I think we'll definitely have to do a show where we kind of break down exactly, with our own quote unquote mock draft, I guess, to a certain extent of what we're looking for in the glaring, because the glaring position,
the best defensive tackle in America.
Yeah.
Whoever there in the second round.
Linebackers, no depth at safety. We have no real proven depth at wide receiver. I mean,
whoa. Let me
besides
pause
Amari,
right
not depth. Depth
no,
at wide receiver.
I'm not talking about wide receiver. You said safeties. I'll have you know, the last 3 weeks, them safeties been balling. I don't know what made them wait this long, but John Johnson enforced the fumbles. Dale Pitt got picks. Dale Pitt is a guy. You know,
it was about time Dale Pitt did, though. I mean, we needed something from him.
It brings tears to my eyes to see the change that one player has made. I mean, this guy, at the beginning of the year, they pointed the finger, and I was the only man in America defending this man, but everybody pointed fingers at number 22, and to see this man not listen to none of that and go out there and become a baller on defense, it brings tears to my...
Let's hope
I'm going to tell my kids about this man. I'm going to tell my kids, be like Grant Dale Pitt.
No. Don't tell him that. Don't go that far.
That's where talking about the guy who won the Jim Thorpe Award in college. Yeah, that guy. Be like that guy.
Well, you know who's been balling out lately?
Me.
No. DraftKings. DraftKings. DraftKings has been balling out lately. We are, Tyvis said it, days away from gambling becoming legal here in Ohio. And so with that, you are going to be able to bet on all of your favorite sports. And to celebrate, all new customers for DraftKings will receive $200 in free bets when you sign up today using code P3Browns. Plus, 5 of you will win a $100,000 free bet. So DraftKings Sportsbook is giving you $200 in free bets just for signing up, no deposit required. And you'll be able to bet on money lines, spreads, props, and more with one of America's top-rated sportsbook apps. I think it's the top-rated sportsbook app, DraftKings Sportsbook. So you'll be also entered to win $100,000 free bet when you sign up. So download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. Sign up with code P3Browns. Get $200 in free bets to use on January 1st at 12:01. Plus 5 customers will win a $100,000 free bet. This is only at DraftKings Sportsbook with the code P3Browns. So make sure you get on, do that today. If you have a gambling problem, make sure you call 1-800-589-9966. 21 and over, physically present in Ohio. Eligibility restrictions apply. See terms at DraftKings.com/sportsbook. Subject to regulatory licensing agreements, 1 per customer, $200 issued as 8 $25 free bets. No purchase necessary for sweepstakes. Void where prohibited. Ends first day. DraftKings is allowed to operate in Ohio. See terms at DKNG.com/OH. And we will be right back to wrap up and talk some Commanders.
Hey everybody, it's Sam Amico from Cavs on the Break NBA podcast. Be sure to give us a listen for all your Cleveland Cavaliers recaps, analysis, breakdowns, draft talk, free agency. The list goes on and on. Give us a listen, Cavs on the Break NBA podcast.
Looking for new insights on the Cleveland sports scene with a unique side of Cleveland sports history? Then you found the perfect podcast. I'm John Sable.
And I'm Scott Sable, and we're hosts of the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, a podcast about Cleveland sports, but not your typical podcast about the land's sports teams. Join us as we embark on a journey of sharing a unique and historical side of Cleveland sports history with the help of some former Cleveland sports stars and other historical figures.
All right here on the Sable Brothers on the Baseline podcast, part of the Press Play Podcast Network.
All right, we are back on the Orange is Oranger. I'm Holly. That is Tyvis. I almost just said I'm Tyvis.
You know,
it's just I want to be.
You don't want to be this. You don't want this life. I'm just telling you right now. It's not all glitz and glamour.
Well, I don't know. Some of the stuff you were saying before we started this episode,
What
sounds like you had a good life over there.
Nah. I like to have fun.
Yeah, you do.
Jokey type of guy. I like to see if people can take a jokey joke.
Oh my god. Yeah, you do.
All right, what the
well,
red hot the Commanders?
Yeah, we got the Commanders. We're going out. We're going out there. They are going to be clinging on to their playoff life. So it'll be a pretty pivotal game for them. And a must win. I think they got the Cowboys after us for the final week. So
it's a big game.
It's going to be a big game. They are also in the top half of the NFL in opponent yards per play, and their third and third down defense. Teams are converting only 32.6% of their third downs against them.
Look at you.
Some little stats for you.
I'm about to say, giving out some analytics. Look at you. You
Well,
know what?
Those are stats.
The Commanders as a feisty team. You know, that they have that Brian Robinson kid is really physical runner. So speaking of physical runner,
and we don't know who's starting for them on Sunday.
That leads me to this point. Look at this. I forgot to even. I apologize for not even getting to this. Reggie Ragland. Reggie, I don't know Reggie personally, but I do know he came out in the draft around the time that I decided to enter the draft. And I know he went to Alabama because I remember seeing him when we played Alabama. So with that being said, I bring him up because this kid, I ain't gonna even call him a kid, this man goes out there I ain't gonna say he off the streets because he was on the P squad. He comes into this new system and he goes out there flying around making tackles. The man is 6'2", 255. Not like our traditional linebackers because we value the 6'1", 6 feet, 220 guys, guys that look like me. And it's funny how great and how effective he was in the run game, which leads me to my point. You need a guy like that on your roster. You need to keep a guy like that on your roster because if teams are going to run the ball, if you're going to go with if you're not going to replace these defensive tackles, at least have some physical linebackers that can get off blocks and make plays. But fast forward. They got Brian Robinson on the Commanders, and that guy is looking to drop a shoulder and do damage. So these linebackers are going to have to come to play. If Reggie continues to play like he plays, I know JOK is out for the year, and we have Deion Jones. So those two guys are going to have to find a way to fly around and make plays. However, the secondary, obviously they got Terry McLaurin, go Bucks. They got Curtis Samuel, go Bucks. And then they got Jahan Dotson. We are Penn State. And Jahan is a guy who I watched in college because obviously he went to Penn State and I cover Ohio State. So he had some big games and I knew he would be special. If he wasn't hurt, he would be more effective and his stats would look a lot better than what he is. So it'll be interesting to see. That's going to be an interesting matchup for Martin Emerson because going up against a guy who's elusive like that and shifty like that, it's always harder when you're a taller corner like Martin is. So if he gets that matchup, I'll be interested to see. Well, I know he's gonna get that matchup because he has no choice. Because Denzel has to check Terry, which Buckeye on Buckeye crime is not great, but it's gonna happen.
I'm entertaining.
So I think this will be a great test for our secondary. I don't know who the starting quarterback is. It probably
they haven't announced it yet.
It probably will be Wentz. So it'll be a great measuring stick for the secondary. I mean, the secondary is like supposed to be our strength on our defense because they are the only guys that remain healthy throughout this whole year. It'd be nice to get your Davion back to have a nice run stopper for Brian Robinson, but we'll see.
What prediction? It's like it's really hard for me to get amped right now in general. So
wow. Holly, I never thought I'd see you like this.
It's hard when there's not much to, quote unquote, play for. You know what I mean? It just sucks.
You're breaking my heart. Breaking.
Can I just get
heart.
your score prediction?
Okay, score prediction for me. I got the Browns 24 points, and I got the Washington Commanders 17.
Tyvis just walked off the podcast like what?
You heard it here.
You dropped the mic there or what?
I need to check the point spread actually.
I don't know how much. I know Washington's favored. I just don't know by how much. It's a little.
Hold on, it's a crazy thing about today's society. It's these things called cell phones. It's like
you can look it up.
like computers right in your hand. You can look it right up.
Remember what they'd say, calculators? You'll never have a calculator in your pocket all the time when you're an adult.
The Washington Commanders are favored by 2 points.
Yeah, I didn't know it wasn't much. Yeah, I mean, I think the Commanders are going to win. I think that they just have there's more of a fight when there's more to play for. They have their. If the Browns still had a chance, I would take the Browns, but we don't. I think that that's going to be a big play in this. So,
Ali, we not, don't be like this. We gonna lead this.
Would you say it's above reality?
No. We gonna leave this in 2022. You're gonna be more optimistic.
I hope so.
In 2023, and it's gonna start. Guess what? It's gonna start January 1st when the Browns go down there and beat the Commanders. And you know what the sick thing is? They gonna beat them bad too, and it's gonna make every Browns fan.
I can't wait to talk about this next week.
Oh,
we're not in this situation at all.
They
remember this, Taj.
They're gonna beat
play
them
this
bad.
back.
Forget what I said. It's gonna be like 31-14. They're gonna beat them bad, and we're gonna be sitting all Browns fans. Well, why y'all ain't do this earlier? Why y'all wait till now to do it? That watch, guarantee. I guarantee. As my name is Tyvis Chancey Powell, I guarantee you that's what happens.
Well, first of all, I did not know that was your middle name. Second of all, yeah, that would be the most Browns thing to do. So
my point is,
but I still think they're going to lose. So we'll see you next week. We'll see. We'll be coming off of possibly a Browns win, possibly a Buckeyes win. We can talk about that too.
Yeah, facing the Giants. You know, it's gonna be a great week for Ohio. You know,
it is.
Yeah,
gambling legal, all kinds of things to celebrate.
Yep.
DraftKings, baby.
Remember, DPJ scores a touchdown. Don't know what the odds is, but I can guarantee you they're not that high.
Let's make you know what we should do next week together is make a bet together on DraftKings next week.
You want to make a parlay? I'm playing a parlay.
Yeah, let's do the parlay. Let's do a parlay next week together.
Let's do it.
We'll do it on DraftKings. P3 Browns. Code P3 Browns. Okay. All right. That does it for us on Orange is Oranger this week. We'll be chatting next week, and we'll see where we're at. Tyvis, take us out.
Go Browns. It's not going to happen this year, but that doesn't mean it won't happen next year. Let's start off 2023 with a W, baby. Let's go Browns. Here we go, Brownies. Here we go.